All right, hello, I'm Edward. I'm going to be the teacher for this class, and I'm going to be today, I am going to try to teach Google Drive because that is what we will use in order to do most of our classes. So I will write my name in the chat, Edward Wang. A little bit about myself. I'm a 9th grader, and I was born in Canada. My parents are Chinese. I have been to China before, back in grade 2, but enough about me. Let's get on. I had some misinterpretations of things, but we're all good now. So yeah. Let's head to the slideshow. So again, today I'll be teaching about Google Drive, mostly about Google Docs, slides, and organization. I will get to what those mean in a little bit. For now, let's talk about organization. Making sure that your Google Drive is easy to look at and you can find what you need to find. So in Google Drive, so the first thing we need to do with Google Drive is make an account. But before we do that, I'm going to first explain what Google Drive is and why it's important to know and why people use it. So organization in Google Drive and Google Drive as a whole, Google Drive is, in it, you can rename folders and files, which is like kind of online pieces of paper, which you can write on with your keyboard. Google Drive automatically saves, so you don't need to do anything. It just makes sure that all of your work is done and you can't lose it. Finally, about Google Drive is synchronization. What that means is that all of the work that you do on one computer, say you're using a laptop right now, or a computer or phone right now to view this, all of your work done on your device will be on all other devices that you can use. As long as you sign into your account, which I will get to later, you can access your work. So about Google Docs, I'm just going to move my camera here in case it gets in the way. Google Docs is, if you've used Microsoft Office before, it's similar to Microsoft Word. It's used for compiling research, papers, scholarly articles, and it's used how someone would use paper. Say you have paper in front of you, you would use Google Docs in the same way. You would write stuff down. It wouldn't look very pretty, but it would be easy to look at and easy to understand. Google Slides is what I'm using right now. It's, again, if you've used Microsoft Office, it's similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. There are some simple themes provided, which is like how the slideshow generally looks. And it is more presentable than Google Docs. It's prettier, 更漂亮, and it's better to look at. You would use it if you were, say, using something along with speaking. With Google Docs, you would read it. With Google Slides, you would most likely be seeing someone else speak, like how I'm doing right now. So first before we get to anything in Google Drive, we need to make an account because there are a lot of people who don't have Gmail accounts, which is what you need for this. So I'm just going to move my camera again. But to make a Gmail account, I'm just going to sign out. But essentially, what we want to do is first you want to find Google. So I am on it right now. On most devices, you can just go up here. You'll find a plus button and press it, and it will lead you to this Google page. However, if that's not what shows up for you, what you want to do is look for this top search bar and type in google.ca on your keyboard or your touch keyboard, depending on what device you're using. And then you press enter, and this is where you will be. So once you get to this screen, you want to look for this button. Your Google will look slightly different from mine because I have dark mode on, which makes it all look black. But you will find this button in the top right corner. You press it. And now you won't see these accounts. Instead, you will see this screen. That's my old email. But essentially, this is what you'll find. And you don't have an account. So you want to come down here and press create account. Then you want to press for myself. And this is what you will see. So here you can type your first name, last name. It's good to have your real name here so that if you join a classroom, for example, then you will be able to, the teacher will know who you are. For now, I will type in my real name here. So now what you want to do is type in a username. This is what you will use to sign into your account to access your work later in Google Drive. Your username can be anything, but I would say that it is best to keep it simple. You could do the first letter of your first name and the first letter of your last name, followed by some numbers. Now, what you want to do is type in your password. Oh, my username's taken. I'll just use the password that Gmail tells me to use, that Google tells me to use. It will give, once you type in some letters, or if you don't have anything at all, then it will recommend a few Google will tell you a few usernames to use. Now it's on to your password. Your password is probably the most important part of your Gmail or Google account. This is what this is what makes sure that only you and people you want to access your work can access your work. So for password, you will see on your keyboard that there is a lot of numbers, letters, and symbols. Numbers are numbers, letters are letters, and symbols are essentially everything else on your keyboard. What you want to do for your password is you want to have a mix of lowercase letters. So say ALKF. I will not be using this email because if I were, I wouldn't tell you guys my password. But again, let's say a sample password or a password that I could use if I wasn't saying it would be A capital L. So on your keyboard, you will see a button that says shift. You want to hold that down while pressing a letter to type in a capital letter. So for example, my password could be ALP327. And then on the numbers, you will find some symbols above each number. You will find a thing above each number. And to type that thing, you hold down shift and press the key that has the symbol. So I pressed the shift button and the 3 key to type in this symbol, which is called a hashtag. Again, you should not use this password specifically, but you should use a password that's kind of like it. Some numbers, some letters, using both uppercase and lowercase, along with symbols. So again, I will type it in one more time to confirm. This is just to make sure that people don't accidentally forget their password or type in a password and not be able to know what it is. But again, just one last time, use lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers, and symbols. So you will press next. Okay, it says use 8 characters or more. I will just add an extra symbol. And now you press next. So this is what will show up on your screen after that happens. What you want to do is type in your phone number or type in a different email address, say one of your kids' email addresses or your caretaker's email address or someone who you know you can trust. A different thing you can do is type in your phone number. I typically use a recovery email address, but that is because I already have other emails. For someone who doesn't have an email like you would want to type in your phone number. So I'm not going to type in anything here. I'm just going to type in a random phone number at the moment, but you should type in your own. Next is your birthday. Just click on this button and then type in the month, then write the month. Then press this button and then type your year using the numbers on your keyboard. Let's just say February 16th. And the year would be the year that you are born. For me, 2007. But for you, it would probably be before that. Again, for month, you click down on this menu. For day, you type it in. And for year, you would also type it in. Finally, there is gender. You can select female, male, rather not say, or you can type in a custom gender. For example, non-binary. But again, I am male, so I am going to select male. Finally, it will tell you to verify your phone number. Now, this is not my phone number, so I won't get the actual email. But what will happen is that you will see this screen and you will press the send button. I will not press send because this isn't my phone number, but that's what you would do. So once you have done that, you should have your Google account. I may be wrong, and if I am, then feel free to ask in the comments what you need to do or to email me. My email is going to go in the chat. Actually, edit this part out, but are the videos public to everyone? Anyways, but yeah, so cut out the part about my email. But so if you have any questions, just comment them below, and I will answer them for you. This is if you have any questions about email or any just general questions. Google Translate is not the greatest and it also prevents you from using your own vocabulary. The better way is to learn speaking habits in English. And if you find a word that you don't understand, then use word reference. I will send the link to word reference inside of the chat. Oh, I accidentally typed in an extra symbol. But yeah, that is word reference. To use word reference, what you want to do is you'll see this page, go to French English. It'll say that probably if you are in Canada. And then scroll down, use the little wheel in the middle of your mouse to go down to English Chinese or Chinese English, depending on what you need translated. So with that out of the way, again, if you don't understand any words, then go to word reference. And if you can't find out how to go to word reference, then comment that down below. I will assist you in any way that I can. So now you've made your Google account. So what you want to do is, so what will happen is you want to open a new tab, press this little icon in the top. And now this is what you will see. You won't have any bookmarks because you won't have this bar of things because that's just because that you would add on by yourself. But this is what you will see, this mostly empty space with these 4 things in the top right. And so what you want to do is you want to click this little icon. I call it the waffle, but you can call it whatever you want. And this is what will pop up when you click it. You want to go to Drive because we're doing Google Drive. So once you get onto Drive, your screen will be empty. I have a lot of things here, but that's because I have used it a lot. So I have a lot of items, but what you want to do is you want to make a folder. But to make a folder, you have to do some other things. So in order to make a folder, you press New up here, and you press Folder. And now this is what will pop up. We are making a folder for this class, so you want to type in 2022 ESL class. And now you will press Create. And now this folder will appear on your screen. What you want to do is click it and then press Enter. And this is what will show up. Now, to make a Google Doc, you would go to the top right and press New and press Google Docs. But before we do that, we need to talk about sharing. So share, to access that, you move your mouse here and you press Share. And what this does is it allows me or whoever you share it to access your documents. What I want you to do, you might want to blur out my email in this since it will appear in public on YouTube, but you will press Share. You'll see that my email is blurred or has a rectangle over it. And what you want to do is, yeah, probably be good to cut out the parts with me opening it. But to add people to share it with, you would just type in their email. So let's say I don't want to give away any of the people in my life's emails away. But for example, if you want to contact CCWAA, then you would type in their Gmail. And if you've already sent something to them before, then this will pop up. If not, then you have to type in the whole thing yourself. So you do CCWAA 2020. And then you hold down Shift and press 2. And then you write gmail.com. And what will happen then is that this will appear below. You can click it, and then you can send it. Before you send, however, you'll see this thing that says editor. You can click on that, and these three will pop up. This is what decides what things someone can do if you shared anything with them. A viewer can only look at your work. They can't change it. They can't write anything on it. They can only look at it. A commenter can ask you to do things with your work. They can suggest that you do things, and they can edit your work for a bit. But once they finish, you have to approve their decisions. You are able to say that you don't want their changes, and that their changes, and you can get rid of their changes. Finally, there is an editor. What an editor can do is they can permanently change your file. If they do anything to it, then that will stay forever or until someone else or you change it. I would say that the editor is dangerous, so only make people who you trust editors when you share with them. Once you finish deciding what role to give them, you press send, and then they will have your folder. So any new files that you make here will be saved and sent to those people. The last part of, I believe the last part, hang on a second. Okay, so next we will talk about making new files. So today we are doing Google Docs because it's simpler. But you go up to the top left, you'll see this button that says new again. Click it, and you'll find Google Docs. Now you can click that button and press create and share. This means that everyone who has the folder, who you have shared it with, will have access to this. All right, so now that you have made a new document, this is what will show up. So there's a few things to know about documents. Obviously, you can type. And that you'll see this bar at the beginning. You don't have to worry about too much of it because these settings, what is up here, shouldn't be changed too much. But what you should keep in mind is a few things. So here you will see a number, and if in case you haven't noticed, this text is a little small. These words are a little small, and what this number decides is how big they are. The bigger this number is, the bigger these words are. So if I press this button to increase the size of the words, increase the size of the words, and begin typing, you will notice that these words are bigger than these. So next, we want to look at highlighting. So if you click the left button of your mouse and hold it down and drag your mouse over letters, they will be highlighted. what you can do now is you can press this plus button to increase the size of those words. What you can also do is press the minus button to decrease the size of those words. There's a lot of other things that you can do, like bolding, italicizing, underlining, but we are not going to get to that today because it's not important for now. For now, what you need to know is that you can highlight, you can change the font size, which is what this number is, and I will get into other things in a bit. So, another thing that you need to look at is the backspace and enter buttons. These are probably the most important buttons in Google Docs. Enter will make a new line. So as you can see, if I just start typing, then this will appear on the same line. But if I press enter, then it will start on the next one. Next is backspace. Let's say that you're typing, but you make a mistake. What you will find is that backspace lets you delete words, which is helpful because we are all human and we all mess up. One last thing to keep in mind, well, a couple last things, but for now, what you need is you'll see this thing that's moving around, and that is what we use to highlight. But what it can also do is you can insert it here. You'll see that it is between the A and the M of name. So you will click here, and as you can see, there's a flashing line. Now what will happen is that if we start typing, then it will start from there. If we start pressing backspace, then it will start from that line. So you can click here and then press backspace and press A to fix the spelling. Same thing here, you can press backspace and then press shift, hold shift and press E. Okay, so the final thing that we'll be going over today is going to be lists and images. So lists are simpler. What this does, let's highlight again, keep that in mind, highlight these words and then press this button here. You'll find that it says bulleted list. You press it and these will appear. This is useful for keeping all of your information readable and it keeps it simple. And you will find that if you press enter, then this dot will appear. It's good for keeping your information organized. Let's say if you are typing a list and you want to keep track of how many things there are in the list. So in case you get to the end of the line, I'll just type in random letters. As you can see, a new dot does not appear. You can highlight and press backspace to delete all of that. But what will happen is that a dot will not appear if you get to the end of the line just by typing. But if you press enter, then a new dot will appear. Now, this last one's a fun one. I feel like this class has been somewhat boring because there's only so exciting that Google Drive can get. But again, you will, look up at the top here and find this button. And what you want to do is press it. And now you can find images. You probably won't have any images on your computer right now. But what you can do is press search the web. And this will pop up on the side. Now, as you can just search for anything. Say you want balloons. You press enter and boom, you get balloons. So you want to hold your mouse down, hold your left click, and then drag it over here. You'll see this blue line, and that's where the picture will go. If we put it here, you will see that the image comes in between this line and this line. But if we put it here, then you'll see that this dot is with this image. So I hope that you've learned a little bit today. And the last thing that we'll be going over, again, sorry for saying last thing so many times, but I promise that this is the actual last thing. In the top left, you will see untitled document. And what you want to do is you want to press it. Now you can see this is all blue. And what you want to do is press backspace and name your document Introduction, or give it any name that you want as long as you remember it. This is important because if we go back here, you'll see that this says Introduction, but a few seconds ago, it said Untitled Document. And if you just have a bunch of untitled documents inside of a folder, then it's hard to keep track of which one is which. So you will name it what it is. For me, I would type Introduction, but maybe you want to type in cooking recipe or fried rice, 炒饭 recipe. So that's the basics of Google Drive. I hope you've learned something today, and I will see you later.